In the most recent issue number 6 of the Darth Vader comic series, we saw how Darth Vader was introduced to Palpatine's Inquisitorius and the plans that Palpatine had for the Inquisitors that filled its ranks in hunting down the remaining Jedi who survived Order 66. Following the confrontation between Vader and the Grand Inquisitor in the archives of the Jedi Temple, Palpatine took Vader to see the new Inquisitors, who he'd been tasked with training to eradicate the Jedi from the galaxy for good. It's at this point in the issue that we get a chance to see the early members of the Inquisitorius. Many are recognizable from the Rebels TV series. Outside of the Grand Inquisitor himself, fans of the show will immediately recognize the 5th brother, 8th brother, and 7th sister. But in addition to the unknown Dawotan Inquisitor on the far right, there's an additional unknown Inquisitor on the far left. However, given the descriptions that were seen within the novel Ahsoka by E.K. Johnston, I believe we know exactly who this latter Inquisitor is. In this video expose, I will explain why I believe this unknown Inquisitor introduced to Vader by Palpatine is the 6th brother. Roughly 1 year after Order 66, Ahsoka was tracked down and confronted by a member of Palpatine's Inquisitorius on the moon of Radha in the Outer Rim. This Inquisitor was known to be the 6th brother. In the novel Ahsoka, we get a fairly detailed description of the 6th brother from Ahsoka's perspective, as she was confronted by the Inquisitor. We learn that the 6th brother had gray skin and wore armor covering his entire body. Although these features are consistent with the unknown Inquisitor from the Vader comic series, they seem to be such a common quality amongst the Inquisitors that I won't rely too heavily upon them here. What's more important in my opinion is the fact that Ahsoka noticed that the 6th brother wore a helmet that contained a face shield that could be lifted up. In fact, Ahsoka noticed that the Inquisitor had their shield lifted as he prepared for combat against her, whereby he was more likely to have the shield lowered when he wasn't in battle. It's clear that the unknown Inquisitor in the comic series is wearing a helmet with what appears to be a retractable face shield. Given Ahsoka's assessment of the Inquisitor's desire to see clearly with the shield up in situations of combat, it would make sense that the Inquisitor would have the shield down when gathering around the Grand Inquisitor, if he's indeed the 6th brother. Another important common feature between the 6th brother and the unknown Inquisitor in the Vader comic series is the fact that they are both tall and relatively broadly built. Ahsoka noticed on the moon of Radha that even though she'd grown in height in the year that followed Order 66, the 6th brother was still taller than she was. Although the perspectives might be a bit off, as well as some differences caused by the way that the Inquisitors are standing, it's clear that the unknown Inquisitor in the comic is taller than both the 7th sister and 8th brother. And while it isn't to the same degree as the 5th brother or the Dawotan member, the unknown Inquisitor can be said to be broadly built. Given that the 8th brother was taller than Ahsoka when they dueled upon Malachor in Rebels, there's definitely a connection between the 6th brother and the Inquisitor in the Vader comic series, as both can be considered tall and broadly built. One final reason why I would conclude that the Inquisitor depicted in the comic is the 6th brother is based upon the timeline that we know regarding Vader's introduction to the Inquisitorius and Ahsoka's confrontation with the 6th brother on Radha. Although we don't know the exact timeline in which Vader is introduced to the Inquisitors by Palpatine, we know that it was relatively soon after the events of Order 66 and Revenge of the Sith, given that Vader is introduced to them soon after obtaining and corrupting a kyber crystal for his lightsaber, which was the first mission he had after Episode 3. Due to the fact that the 6th brother confronted Ahsoka and was killed only 1 year after Order 66, it makes sense that the 6th brother was part of the Inquisitorius in the early days of the organization when Vader was introduced to them, particularly given how sparse their numbers seem early on. Given that the 5th, 7th, and 8th brothers and sister is present when Vader's first introduced to the Inquisitorius, it just makes sense that the 6th brother would also be present and part of the organization at this point in the timeline, thereby connecting the unknown Inquisitor from the comic series and the 6th brother depicted in the novel Ahsoka. Therefore, given the commonalities between the Sixth Brother and the Unknown Inquisitor from the Vader comic series, including both appearing to be male, are both tall and broadly built, have gray skin, full body armor, a helmet with a retractable face shield, they were both active and part of the Inquisitorius within the first year of the Empire, and unlike the Fifth Brother, Seventh Sister, and Eighth Brother, we don't see the Inquisitor from the comic in the Rebels TV series, which would tie in to the death of the Sixth Brother at the hands of Ahsoka. I believe we can conclude that the Unknown Inquisitor from the Darth Vader comic series is the Sixth Brother. So there we have it, the identity of the Unknown Inquisitor introduced to Darth Vader by Palpatine. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter, at SW Reading Club, for updates regarding the channel. Or support the channel on Patreon, for access to exclusive hangouts and book discussions. If not for me... for Grumgar!